All right. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay. And good day to the rest of the world, wherever you are. Great call, Prof. And, I was on the call last week. I didn't contribute, but I was listening, taking it all in. And so something you said now just hit me. You said a lot of stuff, but in particular about not taking a loan necessarily and using the Ubuntu philosophy, which is what I've been looking into lately as I'm struggling with the fact that, okay, so I already got some debts, as far as mortgage, cars, this and that. Why would I go and take on even more debt when maybe there's other inventive ways to raise capital for the business? I would like you to expand more. You just mentioned it in a sentence, but I would like you to expand more on that, if you don't mind. Thank you.
Yes, of course. Well, I wouldn't say that we shouldn't take out loans, right? I mean, there are times to take out loans. Just have to be smart about it. But obviously, yes, if you can do without the loans, fine. I mean, I've connected with a lot of entrepreneurs who actually they have a zero tolerance for loans. They don't do loans at all, and that's fine. But then there are also situations where you have to take out loans. And if you don't do loans, also think about equity. You can also give up equity. You can give up part of your business. You can also give up part of your profit as well, right? That's part of it. You can invite people to participate. And instead of saying, okay, I'm just going to pay you every month or I'm going to pay you every week, well, you can have a stake in the profit. Let's share profit. So whatever we generate, you get X percentage from that. That's another way to think about it, and that might be a way to be able to generate support initially. Does that help?
That helps. Yes. The options were well laid out. Thank you very much.
You bet. Thank you, sir. Anybody else? Please again raise your hand. Use the feature to raise your hand, and I'll call on you to chime in. You can ask a question or you can contribute. Just make it brief because we have a lot of folks on the platform right now. Okay, is that a question, Madam Adunife? Yes?
Kara, okay, I just wanted to say something. I wasn't too sure how to raise my hand. So this has really been a very, very interesting conversation. You've really inspired me, energized me with your presentation. And I wanted to just touch on something you said that really resonated with me. So you said that Africa is the last frontier, and I strongly, agree with what you said. And there's so many opportunities we have on board, and a lot of times we may not see it, but other foreigners are seeing it, and they're coming to take advantage of it. So we as a people need to be open and intentional about recognizing what opportunities exist. And second of all, while we try to take advantage of it, we need to kind of leverage on the spirit of Ubuntu. Look for people in your community to uplift. Don't try to do everything alone. I think we have this spirit of individualism that doesn't even come from us. It came from the Western world, and we've taken it upon ourselves. We want to do something, we want to do it alone. I want to take all the glory, I want to take all the profits, but we need to begin to look within for the opportunities, for the resources, for the capacity, and empower ourselves. That's the only way for us to grow quickly and sustainably. So just wanted to add that, put that out there. Let's look for ways to collaborate within ourselves, uplift ourselves, leverage on the skills, the competencies, and the capacities that we have. We're enough. We have everything we need within us. So don't look outside. Always start within, to begin.
Wonderful contribution. Let's go to Comrade Kingsley Enya. The floor is yours. Okay, let's go to Chioma Njoko. The floor is yours.
Okay, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, Prof, thank you for your presentation. And my take on what you said is quite interesting. I'll just to recap what you said, you actually mentioned making education relevant and interesting. That's a very valid point, especially when we look at our African school curricula. We see that we have a lot of things that we do. It's just a sheer waste of time spending like maybe 4 years, maybe 5 years in the university. It's not like the polytechnic that we usually have maybe like a year to go and do internship. But in the university setting I'm particular about, because you see a lot of uninteresting things that they just use to waste your time. Like, I'm a journalist, I study journalism. I discovered that when you go to the field, those classroom thing they teach you doesn't exist. And you have to go out to the field to practice, to actually know the difference between what classroom, the difference between the classroom and the field. So it's actually interesting to know that there is a lot of untapped potentials in Africa. And that's just the area that interests me more. We have a lot of good people, and then the school curricula doesn't even make it interesting for you to finish a course and be sure that is the area you're going to pursue. You may finish journalism and find yourself in the bank. That's a sheer waste of time and all that. That's my take, sir.
Thank you very much, madam. Let's go to Azaria. Azaria, go ahead, you have the floor.
My contribution is, in the end, I am an avid believer in financial emancipation for African people. And by financial emancipation, I mean like maximizing our potential. If you're doing well in your corner, I'm doing well in my corner, I think that is my own opinion. So personally, I'm a student in the United States. During this lockdown period, I cannot work in the United States as a student. There are some limitations to me being able to work, but I found a way to turn my $1 to $1.1. That's 10 cents. Very small, but my $1 is not $1. And what do? I train myself in stock trading. I do stock. It goes down, it goes up, it goes down, it goes up, but gradually I'm building my financial base. So I'll just implore our people to see beyond limitation and to think beyond limitation. And like has been said in this forum, to look 10 years, 20 years, 30 years down the line and not the immediate. So that will be my submission. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's keep it brief. Let's go to Steph Red. You have the floor.
Everyone, hello, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay, great. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon by my time here. It's a pleasure being here. I came in a bit late. I would have opted not to say anything, but I did hear greatly some of the things that you said, Osiri. Thank you for your perspective and for your love for Africa. My concern, however, is the importance. When you talked about there's so much of dehumanization, really, I mean, use that word, of the African continent. And when the lady, I think it's Odunife, when she talked about individualism and all of that, all the issues that we're having in Africa is a lack of an awareness of who we truly are. And if we're not able to rebuild our identity, we will keep struggling at the level of an awareness of what we can give back to the world.
Yeah.
So it's quite important that we come to the first place first to redefine who we are and be more aware of what we carry. That will help us to be able to build a more compelling future, such that even if we're running away from a place of dehumanization, we are running to a place of certainty that is written and scripted by our own hands. But it's not enough to just run, because what we have pretty much been doing as Africa is running away from something that we do not like, but not having defined exactly what we're running to. So it's important that while we are doing all of this and trying to change the face of education and trying to change the face of our infrastructure and all of that, we need to have a clear picture of what the future Africa that is desirable looks like. And it has to be one that is void of hate. It has to be one that is void of copy. It has to be one that is void of insufficiency in self, because what we are suffering a lot, the great populace of Africa is suffering from low self-esteem and suffering from a low complex because of what colonialism has done to us. So one of the first things we must do is to heal from that perspective that we are not enough and redefine an identity that we are proud of, such that we can boldly put, for example, a made in Nigeria on a product, or made in in Congo on a product and be proud at what we have done. But the only thing is, we cannot come to that level of being proud of who we are and what we have done if we don't have an identity that we are confident of, because everything rises and falls on the strength of your identity. So that business that the gentleman that spoke before me talked about, that business you want to do and everything you want to do, and financial literacy and liberation for Africa can only be done and sustained on an identity that is sure. So I just thought to add that it's quite important that while we build, let us begin to rebuild who we want to look like, such that we're running with purpose and definition in what we're doing. Yeah,
absolutely, well said. And that is, I'm not sure if you've taken a look at our websites. If you go to osiriuniversity.com, that is precisely the reason why we set up the university, to do that. We want to give Africans back to their self-image, their self-worth. We want them to remember who they are.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof, for that inspiring talk that you gave us. In fact, what you just mentioned, talking about, especially about the African map, I mean, that's like the first time that I came to see that a map could actually be changed to, I don't know, whatever political purpose it is or whatever psychological purpose. I think just changing that map can actually change the perception of ourselves, who we really are, knowing that we're greater than what the world tells us we are. Just tells us that actually we as Africans, we have the responsibility to tell our own story. Then I want to come back to the conversation that the lady Odunife gave, where she talked about the fact that Africans are very individualistic and they want to receive all the glory and so on. I think that's very true, and that's one of the things that's been holding us back. If we look at other cultures, other races that have developed, we've seen that they always come together. If we look at the Chinese, they always bond together. They always pool their resources together to be able to build something. I remember last week there was the brother in Australia who was talking about the way Indians get their resources together, buy houses, and soon they start growing. So I think I remember this Chinese proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together with others. So I think as Africans, we should be striving to go far and far, not try to go fast, because going fast, we're soon going to get exhausted and we won't be able to do anything. So I think like the education, changing mindsets to know that that is what we're supposed to be doing will help us to be able to improve and actually make a change in Africa. So I believe Osiri University is that one step that if we all get on board, I think it's going to help to bring that change that we're looking forward to. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for the contribution. And I like you said one step, because I'll tell you, my brother, the opportunity is huge. So we hope that as we move into this uncharted territory, that we would inspire others to jump on, because my desire is to see Africans come out from the ashes. My desire is to see this sleeping giant called Africa rise up again. So I actually wouldn't mind being out of business. I'd rather be on the beach somewhere and having a good time. So yes, we need people to get on board. We need people to start their own schools, to start their own businesses. We need more innocent motors. We need more Dangotes. We need more people. We need more leaders like our brother in Rwanda. You see, so we need more of those. Let's go to Madam Margaret. You have the floor.
Thank you very much. So I really don't want to say much. I just want to, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay. So a lot have been said, and we've been quite busy on the chat room, which is really, really interesting. So I just wanted to support what the lady Chioma said, because I'm also coming from a media background, and I want to agree with you what you said about the news in Africa. And yes, it's quite true that when we see reports from the Western side, because now in my studies as I'm doing my master's in media, I'm also trying to analyze why are we having imbalanced stories coming out of Africa. So when stories come out of Africa, we hear of the war, we hear of insurgency, we hear of corruption, but we have beautiful stories in Africa. We have wonderful developments. I mean, you just talk about M-Pesa now. Why is the world not coming to talk about M-Pesa? Why are we not using M-Pesa all over the world? Because that is a breakthrough in fintech. Why are we not celebrating that? And even in Nigeria, we use financial technology. And I'm like wondering. So I think in our own capacity, from looking at it from the media angle, we can start changing that narrative by starting to infuse the right frame of media that should come out of Africa. And that is what I want to say now. Like, okay, as a media person, I'm taking that responsibility, because I also have a media platform. That responsibility can start with me, which is part of what we are trying to do. Although it's in the energy sector, but we want to publish stories of Africa through the African eyes. Let people see the opportunities in Africa, that this thing is there and is huge. And surprisingly, like you said, to agree with you, these people know this truth. Because, I mean, there is Boko Haram in Nigeria. There is one thing happening in Zimbabwe, in Malawi, but they are not leaving. Every time you are flying to Nigeria, you see the flight is full of white people. Why are they still going to Nigeria when the place is not good enough? It means there's actually something good there, but they always feed the Western media with the wrong information. So I'm just like, it's been that we are here in this university, we can actually start doing that. And I also want to ask, is there also another way? Is there also a way that Osiri University can also partner with maybe a school institution from elementary stage, where we can start building that mindset of young children from that tender age of believing in themselves or who they really are? Because I mean, the university stage, a lot of people already have a framed mind already. We're only trying to correct something. But at a tender age where they are just being born, I think if Osiri University can partner with elementary schools or basic education system, we can actually push this narrative and make it better. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. You should look at osirischools.org or .com. You'll find that. So we thought about this very carefully, and we decided, you know, we better start with one sector. So either we start with the tertiary level, or we start with the younger people, and then expand from there. So initially we thought about going from the bottom up, but then we decided, okay, it might be easier to go from the top down, and that's what we are doing. So, but let's talk more about that. I think there's work to be done. That's why I keep saying the opportunity is huge. One university or one person or institution or whatever can't do it alone. We need to, find more people. Like you rightly said, we need to partner. If we need to do that, to make sure that people are getting this information and that minds are being transformed.